Good afternoon, everyone. Looks like it's 1 o'clock, and we will begin the Finance Committee meeting of the Detroit Water and Sewage Department for today, Wednesday, May 7th. And we'll take that as an official call to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Forte,
Present?
Commissioner Einhauser will
Present.
be,
I'm here.
he is here. And Commissioner Coleman.
Present, Detroit, Michigan.
All right, we have a quorum today.
Thank you. We'll move on now. The first item is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair, as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is approved, and we'll move on to the minutes, the meeting minutes of April 2nd, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
Yes, I would move, Madam Chair, that we adopt the minutes as presented.
I'd second, Madam Chair.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. And we'll now move into public participation. And I see Mr. Peckinpah here. So if we can have the announcement.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair. Brian Peckinpah, Public Affairs Director for Detroit Water and Sewage Department. I will give the announcement for instructions for public comment during the virtual committee meetings today. I will give this announcement once during this committee meeting, and during the other committee meetings, we'll give it if new attendees join after those committees start. To make a comment, please raise your hand by using the raise hand icon on your desktop or mobile device using the Zoom app. If you are calling into the meeting by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. During public comment, after your name is called, you will be given permission to unmute. In order to begin speaking, you will have to unmute yourself. To do so, press the unmute button, which is the microphone icon if you're online or on the Zoom app, or press *6 if you are calling in. You will have a limit of 3 minutes to make your comment. There will be a timer indicating your remaining time. If you're online to make a comment, we kindly request you fill out the comment card link that's located in the chat, which just got posted. By filling out this card, we will have your contact information to follow up appropriately. If you are unable to click the link, please let us know. You will only be called upon once. Once the chair closes public comment, there will be no other comments from the public, and all attendees will remain muted for the duration of the committee meeting. Thank you for your attention, Madam Chair and audience. And at this time, there are no hands raised.
Thank you, Mr. Peckinpah. So at this point in time, I'll just call again to see if there's any public comment to be made. Anyone at all?
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised.
Thank you. Seeing no hands raised, we will now close public comment. And we'll move on with the rest of the agenda. And the next item is communications. We have some communications to consider. Is there a motion to approve item 2025-93?
I move we receive and file the communications in the agenda.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion is approved. And we'll now move into unfinished business. Item 7, there is none. So we'll move on to item 8, new business, with several items to consider. The first is 2025-94. Is there a motion? Commissioner Coleman?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a recommendation to the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewer Department. Authorize directors to approve DWSD contract number 6007113 with EJ Incorporated for manhole covers and catch basins for a total contract amount not to exceed $465,889.35 with a term of 2 years. The Board of Water Commissioners also authorizes directors to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved and supported. I see Ms. Welch has joined us. You can provide a little context on this action.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Board of Water Commissioners. All 4 contracts, including this one, are all warehouse replenish contracts, so they're as needed to replenish inventory upon the request of our field crews. The contract that was just presented was advertised for 22 days. We received 2 bids, and DWSD was the lowest responsive bidder. Manhole covers provide safety to both pedestrians and vehicles because they cover the manholes that's in the road when people are crossing by or walking by. And catch basins, as you all are aware, utilizes a grate to collect water debris, water and debris from the street. And so both contracts or both projects were advertised for bids, and DWSD was the lowest responsible bidder. So we're recommending to the Finance Committee for approval.
Thank you. Are there questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is approved. And we'll move on to the next item, 2025-95.
Yes, Madam Chair, I would move that the committee recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of DWSD contract 6007125 with Ellsworth Industries, Inc. for an as-needed purchase of backfill sand for a total contract amount not to exceed $519,600 and a term of 2 years, and authorize the director to act appropriately.
Thank you. Is there support for the motion? And Commissioner Coleman, you are muted.
Support, my apologies.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly supported. Any other, let's see, we're going to have Ms. Welch provide us some context here.
Again, this is a contract for backfill sand. It's used by our field crews when they're out performing repairs. It kind of gives support to the assets. So they kind of put gravel, dirt, sand, and different things like that when they have to backfill an open hole when they're doing repairs. Again, it's a warehouse replenishment item. We did advertise it for bids. It was out for 21 days. We received 2 responses, and Ellsworth was the lowest responsive bidder. So recommended to the Finance Committee for approval.
Thank you. Are there questions or comments?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is approved. And we'll now move on to item C, 2025-96.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Coleman,
I'd like to recommend to the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewer Department, authorize directors to approve DWSD contract number 600712 with Ferguson Waterworks for coupling transitions for a total contract amount not to exceed $566,500 for a term of 1 year. Board of Water Commissioners also authorize directors to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Support.
been moved and supported. Ms. Welch.
Yes, transition and couplings are also warehouse inventory items. They're used by our field crews. They're just a simple and economic way of joining different size piping without removing the whole pipe or disassembling like the gauge at the end of the pipe. This was advertised for 21 days. We did receive 5 bid responses, and Ferguson Waterworks was the lowest responsible bidder. Recommending for finance to approve, move to full board.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion has been approved. Item D is 2025-97. Is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that we recommend to the Water Commissioners the adoption of contract DWSD contract 0667166 with Aetna Supply Company and DWSD contract 6007167 with Progressive Plumbing Supply to provide copper piping for a combined total not to exceed amount of $1,105,581.40 for a term of 2 years, and authorize the director to take necessary actions to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved and supported. And so we'll ask Ms. Welch to provide context here.
Copper piping is a critical inventory item. That's why the recommendation that you see before you is to award to the 2 lowest bidders. We did advertise 4 bids. We received 4 bids back. It was out for 21 days. Aetna and Progressive Plumbing were the 2 of the 4 lowest. This is a commodity that's very versatile as far as pricing goes. And so we wanted to make sure that we don't have any impact to operations when there's a need in the warehouse. And so procurement is presenting today to the Finance Committee to move to full board.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Question, Madam Chair.
Yes, oh, go ahead.
I see this as copper term for 2 years. Does this mean we will be inventorying this product, or are we just locking in a price?
We inventory. So Aetna's contract is for 556,000 and some change, and Progressive's will be for 549. And so we inventory those products and as needed. So we have a mid-max quantity based on the operational need, and when it hits the minimum quantity, then we're able to order from these 2 vendors.
You know, I'm just curious. This is pretty valuable stuff. I'm assuming it's under lock and key somewhere.
It is. It's stored at our CSF Huber facility in the warehouse. They have to wreck it out. So it's not just open for the field crews to come. They have to fill out a stock checkout request, and then it's presented to them from the window from the warehouse team.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great question. And I'm assuming that's copper piping as opposed to pipping. So I know you'll make that change.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. Thank you so much, Ms. Welch. And we'll move into item E 2025-99, which is the financial review for February. And I see Mr. Rahman has joined us.
Yeah. Good afternoon, commissioners. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Estika Rahman here, CFO DWSD. Today, I will be presenting the financial highlights for the month of April 2025. We'll go to the first slide here. Okay, we'll start with DWSD's cash and investment position for the month. We continue to maintain cash reserves to support our operating units as well as our capital programs. On a system-wide basis for the month of February, we had $289 million in deposits, 129 of that in the water fund, and almost $160 million in the sewer fund. When we say system-wide basis, it involves all our cash accounts, which should be operating, as well as our I&E, which is the Improvement and Extension Fund, as well as the Construction Fund and funds held by GLWA in trust accounts. This $289 million represents a decrease of $1.6 million when we compare to the January balance. Water operating cash, we had $11.7 million at the end of February, which is a slight decrease of $613,000. But nevertheless, the balance represents our 3 months working capital that we keep on an ongoing basis. And that is about $4 million a month, roughly about $12 million for the quarter. Sewer operating cash, we had $25.9 million. This is an increase of $3.2 million from the previous month. The increase is because of the timing for our transfer of payroll. Again, we are meeting our operating needs. The 3-month operating balance that we keep, approximately $5 million, and this is far exceeds that. When it comes to year end, we will look at it as a whole and then make the necessary transfer. If we are holding the operating needs for 3 months in each of these operating accounts, the excess money is transferred to I&E to meet our I&E pay-as-you-go capital needs. Next slide, please. This is our improvement and extension fund. As you see, the graph here on the left is for the water fund. It's decreased slightly from January, and the decrease is mainly due to disbursements we make for our capital projects, mainly for lead service line disbursements. The balance in this account, both the water as well as sewer I&E, kind of fluctuates from month to month, depending on when the expenditures are made and when we get reimbursed from the SRF funding source or from grant money. So the variances of 1.7 for the water and 2. Sewer is pretty normal. And then those balances would restore themselves depending on the timing of reimbursements. The next slide is for construction cash. You see decreases in both the water as well as the sewer. Construction cash, again, this is money coming out of our bond fund. And then decreases mainly due to disbursements for capital projects, especially in the water fund. We are dispersing funds for lead service line replacement. Next slide, Tamara, is the cash held in trust. This reflects steady balances for both the water and the sewer fund. In the water cash at GLWA, we had $30.8 million at the end of February, a decrease of $570,000 over January balance. Retail receipts for February was $9.6 million. It fell short of the target collection by $570,000 a month. Our target collection for any month during the fiscal year is $10.2 million. For the sewer trust account balance of $42.6 million at the end of February, a decrease of $970,000 over January. Again, we had a cash receipt of $24.1 million for February, which fell short of the target collection by $970,000. Our target collection for the sewer fund is $25.1 million. Again, nothing significant. This is normal fluctuations from month to month. And I sincerely hope that everything will work out in a surplus situation by the time we reach the year end. Switching gear from cash investments to accounts receivable, our January sales of $40.2 million increased by $2.5 million compared to January sales, 6.6% increase. Receivables of $312 for all active accounts increased by $9.4 million, which represent 3.1% over January balance. Most of it, 65% of this increase in receivable can be attributed to increase in residential receivables. Our cash collection for the month of February was decreased by $2.8 million when we compared to January's. So January, we collected $35.6 million. In February, we had $32.8 million. So January actually met the target collection when it reaches $35.6 million. Slightly short in February. Decrease again, mainly due to residential collection. About $1.6 million less in residential collection. Also, governmental collection was short by $1 million. Active residential accounts receivable continue to increase. As I mentioned, 65% of the increase in receivable is due to residential. And in terms of dollars, it's $6.2 million, which represents about 2.9% over our January balance. Although receivables are increasing, our days in receivable has decreased in February compared to January. We continue to make allowance for doubtful collection. Doubtful collection represents 76.1% of our total receivable balance, including tax roll transfers. No change in the percentage of doubtful collections compared to January. As I said, we continue to monitor this receivable balances, and appropriate allowances are made for the uncertainty of collection. Here's a
Quick
slide.
question.
Yeah,
While we're on that slide,
Question.
refresh my memory on what are government collections? What
government collection will be all governmental agencies, including the state of Michigan, as well as Great Lakes Water Authority.
got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair, question.
Yes.
I'm assuming a receivable is a past due account. Is that what you're considering a receivable versus a sales?
Receivables are all based on our sales. When we make a sale, that money becomes receivable until paid. And then on a quarterly basis, we do an aging report that I present to you. And that aging report says how many days those receivables are outstanding. If they're outstanding for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, or over a year.
Okay.
But this receivable is a collection of everything that the customer owes from the point of sales.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next slide here on collection rates. On the right side, you see the various percentages over the last 3 months, and the last column is a 3-month rolling average. And the left side is a graphical presentation of our collections over time. Residential collection rates, as you see from the chart, for the last 3 months have averaged 77.5%. February's collection fell short of January, as I mentioned before. February collection was slightly down, about $2.8 million on an overall basis. For residential, it stood at 73.4% compared to 86.1% in January. Commercial and industrial continues to be a good story. Our averages are in mid or high 80s or 90s, and strictly because of a very aggressive collection effort by our collection team. And then full credit goes to the team for making sure we are collecting on our commercial and industrial customer classes. Drainage collection rate for February was 73.5%, fairly consistent with January. And the 3-month average again is holding in mid-70 range. Residential and drainage only collection rates continue to be a concern. They are both in the 70s or mid-70 range. Ideally, we would like that collection rate for residential as well as drainage rate to be in high 80s or low to mid 90s. So we're far off from there, and our efforts continued in that direction to raise those rates to at least high 80s, if not low 90s. February, on an overall basis, the combined collection rate stood at 86.7% for all active customers, which would include residential as well as drainage only customers. And the combined was slightly lower when you compare it with January's collection rate of 87.2%. The 3-month moving average rate for all active customer classes remained fairly consistent in the mid 80s. Switching gears again, moving on to matrix and revenues. February actual volume exceeded the budget, as well as exceeded the January volume. You'll see a higher percentage increase in February, and this is because we made an adjustment to our January sales last month, approximately 20,000 MCF. Adjustment was made to the January volume, took the January volume lower, and therefore you see a higher percentage increase in February. Our year-to-date actual water volume was 1% under adjusted budget, seasonally adjusted budget. For the revenue side, again, 8.6% increase over the budget, higher percentage compared to January because of the same reason as I mentioned before. On a year-to-date basis, actual commodity revenue was 0.9% above the budget. So on a month-to-month basis, there could be fluctuations in terms of budget to actual. But what I look at is the year-to-date numbers, and if they are fairly consistent or we are exceeding the budget, that's a good story. On the service charge metrics and revenues, February meter equivalents exceeded budget by 3%, was also higher than January equivalents. On a year-to-date basis, our equivalents are exceeding budget by 3%. The revenue side of the equivalents also exceeded budget by 3.6%. It was 1.1% higher than January. On a year-to-date basis, we are again positive, 3.1% over the budget on a year-to-date basis. Moving on to the sewer side, again, you'll see the huge percentage difference when you compare February to January, and it's exactly the same reason of a 20,000 MCF adjustment we made in January that shows February to be extremely high. But in reality, if you take out the impact of that adjustment, February's volume is fairly consistent with what the January volume was. On a year-to-date basis, our volume was 3.5% under budget for the sewer side. On the revenue side, again, we exceeded the budget as well as the January volume. And the reason for the high percentage in compared to January is the same as I just mentioned for the volume side. On a year-to-date basis, we are short of the budget by 2.9%. Still about 4 months left in the fiscal year, and my hope is certainly catching up with the year-to-date adjusted budget. The meter side of it, nothing unusual. On a year-to-date basis, we are exceeding budget by 4.5% when it comes to actual meters. And then when you look at the revenue side of it, we are also exceeding the budget by 4.1% for the sewer meters. And then finally, for our drainage metrics and revenues, our billable impervious acreage that we call BIA exceeded the budget for the month by 0.2%, but compared to January, it was 0.1% lower, and also 0.2% lower when we compare to February of last year. On a year-to-date basis, fairly consistent. We are 0.1% over budget. The drainage revenue side, we fell short of for the month by 3%. Year-to-date actual drainage revenue was 4.3% under budget, and that's mainly because of various adjustments we make for green credits and residential credits. This continues to be our focus, and we will continue to focus in on our drainage revenue for the rest of the fiscal year. And again, hoping against hope that this catches up and equates our planned budget for the year. It's a short presentation today that completes it for February. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, CFO Raman. Any questions? It's a brief but comprehensive presentation.
Agreed.
Hearing none, we'll move on the agenda. I know the next item is the planning calendar. And Mr. Kerr, I think that's the only item we had for this month.
Yeah, and no change to the planning calendar, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other matters to come before the committee? Hearing none, our next meeting is June 4th, 2025. And I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 15 minutes until the Capital Improvement Program and Operations Committee begins.
Commissioner Blackman, do you show that I'm connected? Hello?
Hi, Commissioner Blackman. We can hear you and see you.
Okay, because I somehow or other I got disconnected and I don't know why. But I'm glad I'm back. Thank you.
You're welcome.
IT. IT, can you hear me?
We can. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
good. I had to reboot. Thanks. That's all I
No
wanted.
worries. Mhm.
Hey, Sam, how you doing?
Afternoon, Commissioner.
All is well?
So far, day's still young.
I saw the emails Tony Whitbeck's been sending you.
Yeah, he referenced the SEMCOG online map. We contacted SEMCOG, who contacted MDOT, and they're gonna get that changed. So, and we'll provide him the documents that we have.
At any point, do we know when the contract is gonna finish up the work out here?
I know it's in progress right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, just from my point of view as a resident, they take extremely too long. I mean, they fixed that, then it takes 2 more weeks to just put some asphalt over it. I mean, I don't understand what the holdup is, so.
We are trying to improve our soft and hard restoration processes.
Oh, no, I'm not, I just wanted to point it out when you,
Yeah, I know,
especially when they come back and ask you to raise their price, you know?
we can't grow any grass in the middle of winter, so there's basically 5 or 6 months out of the year where we're still making repairs, but we can't pour the concrete, place the asphalt, or do the grass.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
So
It's
backlogs-
raining, it's cold. Yeah, I get it.
So backlogs develop over the winter.
But that's a good point, and I'll let them know that too.
We do have a plan to make sure that we get through all of them this season. And we're putting significant pressure on the contractors to perform.
No, no problem. I think you and your team are doing a great job. You're very responsive and really, you know, people appreciate that. I have folks that I know in town that will call me about different stuff, and I'm like, hey, that's our job, so don't feel bad about that. If I can help, we will.
Well, I appreciate Sam, his prompt response to all the different issues that particularly come through my way, and thank you for the Second Avenue response.
You're welcome.
You and your team.
I'm going to echo that. Thank you, Sam.
You're very welcome. Detroit is always taking care of me, so I'm going to do my best to take care of Detroit.
Well, you know, I appreciate you leaving sunny San Diego. Come hang out with us in Michigan, especially in January, February, and March, man. So I guess it's 1:46. I guess I'll wait on the secretary to.
Chairperson Coleman.
John, how you doing, man? All right.
Good.
Time now is 1:47.
Who's there?
I'd like to call the Capital Improvement Program Operations Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Chairperson Coleman.
Present, Detroit, Michigan.
Commissioner Davis.
Present, Detroit, Michigan.
Commissioner Kenlock.
Present, Detroit, Michigan.
All right, we have a quorum, sir.
Excellent, excellent. At this time, I'd like to ask for approval of the agenda as presented, please.
Support. Move approval of the agenda.
Support.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Any negative noes? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item number 4, approval of the minutes from April 2nd, 2025 as presented. A motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Support.
Appreciate that, gentlemen. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Abstentions? Any negatives? Hearing none, this motion passes. Public participation. Do we have anyone that would like to comment? Brian.
Mr. Chair, we do have attendees, public attendees, but I do not see any hands raised, and they did hear the announcement during their first committee meeting.
Okay, excellent. Going once, going twice. Next item, communications. I see we have none. Number 7, unfinished business. We have none. Number 8, new business. We do have some. Item 2025 TAC 100, Security and Integrity Division update. The sponsors, Allen.
Good afternoon, commissioners and all others in attendance.
Good afternoon, Mr. Allen. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me and welcome to the May 2025 Security and Integrity Division update. Next slide, please. So we have two main components. One is our uniform security, and what they are primarily tasked with doing are providing security in our buildings, namely MOB and CSF. They provide security for our employees, visitors, and our properties, and they are strategically placed through both of those facilities. They receive continued and enhanced training to include twice annual firearms qualification as state standards mandate. They receive response to active shooter training, CPR training, and they are currently undergoing some new training to include de-escalation and communication tactics, verbal judo, conflict resolution, managing aggressive individuals. They are all being retrained on legal aspects of use of force, understanding reasonable force and the force continuum, as well as the liabilities surrounding uses of force. They are also being trained on trauma care and bleeding control. So they'll be taught tourniquet application, wound packing, and pressure dressings, shock management, and fracture immobilization. They will be issued at the completion of their training tourniquets in which they've been trained on. Next slide, please. Our second component is the Revenue Protection Unit. They are a small group of retired detectives and investigators. Primarily, they were charged with protecting our assets.
Excuse me, Mr. Allen. Did you call for a slide? Because I don't see anything on the screen.
Oh, you have to move it up, slide it over. I had to slide over.
Yes, our IT folks are advancing the slides.
Yeah, so so it changed the Revenue Protection Unit.
Okay, I mean, the screen I'm looking at, I don't see any slides.
So you have to just move it over, move it to, you manually have to move your,
Commissioner Coleman, this is Scott McGriff, General Counsel. At the top of your screen, do you see a tab that says webinar and a tab that says Tamara Smith's screen?
Got it. Okay.
So
Got it. Thank you.
Tamara Smith's
Okay. Yeah. I'm just very interested in this. I wanted to make sure I saw it. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Dan, you can continue. If you have your camera, could you turn your camera on, Dan?
That's on my laptop. I had IT down here earlier. There's some malfunction here. If I open the laptop, it blows out my larger screens, which I need.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
So continuing on, our Revenue Protection Unit is a small group of public law enforcement, retired law enforcement detectives and investigators. Primarily, they were brought on board and charged with the protection of our financial aspects. Or our financial assets. They work closely with billing, collections, meter operations, and IT to identify problem accounts. They include unbilled and underbilled water usage, incorrect water usage, and a large source of revenue is vacant homes with burst pipes. So basically what they do is comb through records and look at residential structures that are logging in extremely large quantities of water. Usually this will indicate a burst pipe. Occasionally it's a leak with people actually living in the house. More often than not, it's a vacant structure with a burst pipe. Next slide, please. So what the Revenue Protection Unit basically does is they perform site investigations, they verify the loss, and they take whatever corrective action is appropriate. So in most cases, they'll recommend back billing for unbilled water usage to DWSD building. We go back 6 years as per state law. We work out the numbers. Those numbers are vetted by billing so that they're proper. Usually they're very close between what we say and what billing eventually vets out. And then the customer, mainly commercial customers, that applies to mainly commercial people. They work with meter ops to correct the cause of unbilled usage, which in many cases, in terms of residential, is a broken meter. In a very small number of cases, they will initiate criminal action if it can be proven that somebody actually tampered with our infrastructure. Since our inception, our mission has expanded greatly. So in addition to the revenue aspect of it, we provide support for legal, serving subpoenas. We locate and interview witnesses, and we conduct investigations at their request. We investigate all vehicle accidents involving on-duty DWSD employees, threats against our employees and assets. We will conduct investigation on employees that are accused of serious misconduct or criminal activity. We respond to hostile situations in the field where a crew may encounter a hostile customer, and we de-escalate that situation so that the work can continue uninterrupted. In a very small number of cases, we will notify local police jurisdiction for their response as well. But we do prevent a breach of the peace. Next slide, please. So I'll let these numbers speak for themselves. These are our 217 to present numbers on back build, future build, and water loss revenue, and also for the current fiscal year. Next slide, please. So these are some of our special projects during first quarter of 2025. We are currently repairing and replacing all non-functioning security cameras and DVRs at CSF. We are working closely with IT to get that done. We are also equipping our officers with updated 800 megahertz radios. These are on the state of Michigan system, and they have communication abilities across state agencies and city agencies that are so equipped with these radios. As I alluded to before, we are training all of our officers in enhanced techniques as far as de-escalation and communication, legal aspects of use of force, and on trauma care. And that concludes our presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Are there any questions? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Dennis Allen. That's excellent presentation.
Thank you for having me.
Next item is our planning calendar with security update. I'm assuming, was that it?
No change to the planning calendar, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Are there any other matters that need to be brought before the body at this time? Seeing none, our next meeting is scheduled for June 4th, 2025. I request a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Or
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
That was excellent timing.
That's how we do it in CIP.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. It is now 2:00, and I would like to call the Customer Service Committee meeting to order. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Chairperson Blackman,
I'm sorry. Please call the roll, Mr. Secretary. Present, Detroit.
Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Forte.
Present.
And we do have a quorum. Just making sure, just wanted to double check to see if Commissioner Garcia is here.
I see you're on the link, Don.
Okay. All right, we have a quorum.
Very good. Then we will now ask for approval of the agenda. Is there anyone who will make a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move approval.
I will support. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. The next item is the approval of minutes of April the 2nd. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move approval.
And I will support. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of April the 2nd, 2025, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. The next item is public participation. Have we received any notification that anyone wants to address this committee at this time?
Madam Chair, Brian Picapop, Public Affairs Director for DWSD.
Yes, sir.
We do not, I do see members of the public. Oh, there we go. We do have someone's hand raised, and that was Norrell Hemphill.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Hemphill, would you like to start your remarks, and welcome?
Good afternoon to the Customer Service Committee of the Board of Water Commissioners. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you just fine.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to give a notice that we did see the communication earlier this morning, and I had a quick question regarding your policies. How much in advance of the committee meetings and the Board of Water Commissioner meetings does communication have to be sent to make the agenda?
Would you like to respond to that that question? Is staff on?
This is Scott McGriff, General Counsel. Typically, correspondence that's received will be on the next, like, for example, I understand, Ms. Hemphill, that you submitted correspondence this morning. That would be then forwarded.
No, I'm on.
The next agenda.
But I don't think.
Next meeting, as correspondence received.
I think her question was what is the deadline by which you need to submit to be on the agenda?
Usually it's the week before I believe.
Okay, so this correspondence was in time for the Board of Water Commissioners meeting, the larger board meeting?
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay. Any particular day? Is it like Monday or Friday the week before, or just like 7 days, like one full week before?
I believe that we try to go with 7 days before, but if it's received by the Friday of the week before, it will generally get included. We try to
Okay.
be over-inclusive rather than under-inclusive, but
As a rule of thumb, one full week. Thank you so much. I appreciate your answers and responses.
Thank you for being here. Are there any other people who wish to participate in this committee, in this public comment time?
Yes, Madam Chair. Miko Williams is the next person.
Right, thank you. Good morning or good afternoon, Mr. Williams, and welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, Commissioner Blackman. How are you today?
Great, thank you.
Good, good. Thank you for having me speak. D'Amico Williams, Chief Executive Director of Hydrate Detroit. We have been helping people with assistance on their water bills. And here it is, Share Water Time again. I want to let everyone know that our organization, Hydrate Detroit, will be raising funds once again to help people with their water bills. I have received a number of calls from people that are seeking help. Of course, I'm giving them the information for the Easy Pay program. Thank you for waiving the $10 fee and allowing people to enroll. I wish more communication was given about this. I wish we could promote this a little more better so that residents know. And I do applaud the residents that call this organization to prevent their water from being shut off because someone gave them the information word of mouth. I thought I was listed as a partner for the water department in collaboration or in partnership to help people if they are having trouble. I just want to thank the customer service wing of the Water and Sewage Department for helping those customers. It's a lot. It's a lot to handle, but we just want to make sure that the information's out there, that it's visible, and that if at any given time, people could call. We stopped doing consultations, but consultation is definitely needed, especially for those that don't know what to do, especially when it comes to land, when it comes to housing issues, probate court, mom died, grandma died, and the house goes to the children, and then there's a big water bill attached. Also, I just want to bring attention to it's getting warm. It's May 7th. And of course, I am going to, for the 4th month, once again, throw myself on the body of this water table to say, do not shut off the water. Please work it out. Please do something. There needs to be engagements with Wayne Metro since they have not contacted people or kept up with people. And I'm getting very worried. I haven't heard how much water amnesty have we been making. Water amnesty would be very, very inclusive at this time to give people a percentage off of their water bill so that they don't get shut off and they don't end up into long-term debt. I know people want to fight me about this, but I believe that water amnesty is the way, and I still continue to believe that once we get this amnesty approved all across the city of Detroit to cut water bills in half and to deliver people all to zero balance, we will have done our jobs. Thank you for taking my comments.
William. Did you wish to comment on that?
Madam Chair, there are no other public commenters.
Pardon? Oh, there's another?
There are no other hands raised.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I don't know if we'd like to do a response about the water amnesty, or do we just want to respond to that at another time, Mr. Phillips?
I have no further comment.
Thank you, sir. I just like to say that when customers call us or we call them, we contact them regarding their bill, we do everything within our power to assist them in making sure that their water remains.
I wish I could hear these people better.
ways to help our customers, and we're employing everything we can. We don't want to have customers without water, so we do everything we can to make sure that they are able to pay their bills and make arrangements to pay their bills. So thank you, Mr. Williams, for your concern, and we are certainly working with you on that.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Garcia.
Yes, Madam Chair, I just wanted to ask, I know that we're dealing with the customer service, and I guess maybe it's Matthew, I need to ask, did we fill out all the information? Did we get all the clients that we needed to for the flood victims, Matthew, by any chance?
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Right now, we're closing out public participation, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you went to communication. I didn't hear you wrong. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that we're moving on from public participation.
Well, on this computer, thank you.
Okay, and then we're moving on to communications. We have no communications, but if you wish to make a comment at this time, you may do so, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Garcia, can you hear me?
Matter.
Are you there, Commissioner Garcia?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, Madam Chair?
We're under communications.
Okay, now I can ask?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry for before. Communications. Matthew, are we all done with I know we're not all done with paying all the customers and assisting them, but I know the deadline came and went. Am I correct?
There's been a couple of different deadlines, Commissioner Garcia, but the deadline to request assistance for debris removal and cleaning, as well as furnace, electrical, and hot water tank, that has expired. And I also believe that, I also know that the time frame to submit a claim has also expired. Those are the only two expiration dates that I'm familiar with.
Okay. Now, but it expired, the time that people had to put in their claims, but you're all still reviewing claims. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're very welcome. So we're moving on to communications. We have none, and now we are to receipt of correspondence. Mr. Phillips, did you wish to add anything to what is already there?
No, ma'am, just to receive and file.
Chair will entertain a motion to receive and file on item 2025-105. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by
Support.
Commissioner Forte, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. If there's no discussion on those items, all those in favor of approving that item, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Moving on, we have no unfinished business. The new business, we're going to have our customer service presentation. Mr. Phillips?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will bring up the presentation, and I will turn over the mic to Ms. Crowell, who will kick us off.
Welcome, Ms. Crowell.
Good afternoon, commissioners. How are you this afternoon?
Great, thank you. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Kim, can you see the presentation?
Yes, thanks, Matt. I can see it.
All right, perfect.
Next
Sorry,
slide.
you're waiting for me. My apologies.
Absolutely. Okay, for the month of April of 2025, we received over 55,882 calls, and we responded to over 6,500 email inquiries. In total, that gave us a total of 62,424 total customer touch points. Even though we are only budgeted for 1,400 calls to receive only, I'm sorry, let me stop that. We are currently staffed to only receive 1,400 calls per day. But during the month of April, we received over 29 contacts per day. In total, with our customer service calls, our emails, and our self-service interactions, which is our customer service portal, we had over 152,322 contacts. Our customer contact volume, we were over 112 over forecast per day. 9% of our calls were answered within a 2-minute time frame. And also during the month of April, we received a total of 713 calls that were specifically for the Southwest 54-inch water main break. Our average,
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Garcia.
Yes, when you look at these numbers, and that's a lot, so you have service people serving these customers from 8 a.m. to 5 o'clock?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so all these numbers come in before 5 o'clock. So they're always responded to if within 24 hours. Is there a time limit? I guess that's what I wanted to ask. Because that's a lot of calls.
That
Yep.
is a lot of call. Oh, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
Thank you, Kim. Madam Chair, this is, these calls that come in this is registered over, customer service is operational 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So these the bulk of our calls, and that's what Kim was referring to, the bulk of our calls, probably 95%, come in between the hours of 8 and 5:30. On a daily basis, but we are open 24/7. Yes, it is a lot of calls. Our budget only allows for us to have so many individuals on staff. And as you can see, at 112% over forecast, we would need double the staff that we currently have today in order to answer these calls within our time frame, which is our goal is to answer 70% of the calls within 2 minutes.
2 minutes, correct.
But right now, as Kim reported, only 9% of the calls are answered within 2 minutes because of the fact that we have double the call volume coming in on a daily basis.
So the calls 9%, which is not a lot, 9% of the call are answered within 2 minutes.
That's right.
What is the average amount of calls does a customer service serve a day?
I would say a minimum of 50 calls per day.
Okay. I'd like to see that, like just to see it so we know what we're dealing with customer service reps doing an excellent job taking care of, this many calls in a day.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Kim will have that available for the next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Before we leave the screen, what's the average number of minutes that calls are answered in?
So I don't have that like right in front of me right now, Commissioner Forte, but I'm looking at my live dashboard, and right now the average speed of answer is 26 minutes and 26 seconds. I don't have my glasses on. 26 is what the average is right now today. And the longest call waiting right now is 24 minutes and 54 seconds. So if you want a live representation of what's happening right now, and there's a total of 36 people waiting for us to answer at the moment.
What you said 26 minutes and then you said 24 minutes, which was, I say that again.
So right now for the day, the average speed for a customer service representative to answer the call, if we look at all the calls that came in today, is 26 minutes and 26 seconds. And if we're looking right now, what is the longest call that's waiting is 24, I think it was 24:57, 24 minutes on average to get in right now.
So we've been exceeding what we have been able to do in the past.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So would you want to comment on what is contributing to that?
We only have, we have 60 people that are available to answer calls on a daily basis. That's our staffing. And the amount of volume that we have coming in on a daily basis requires at least 120 people to answer the phones within, to meet our service level, which is 70% of the calls answered within 2 minutes. We would need over 120 people, and we currently only have 60. We're budgeted for 71, I believe.
Yes, that's correct.
Agents. And
yes.
I have some reports on that. That was a question that came up at the last meeting, Commissioner, or Madam Chair, I'm sorry. And I have that response, although I just gave it, but we only have half the people available based on our budget.
I'm going to wait until you get to the customer comments or the customer interaction. Well, I shouldn't say interaction, but the comments we receive from customers about how they feel about the level of service they're receiving before I comment further. So please proceed. If there are no more
Okay.
Okay, please go ahead.
All right. Our average speed of answer for our emergency line during the month of April was 11 minutes and 11 seconds. Our non-emergency line, the average was 20 minutes and 54 seconds. Our customer satisfaction score, which is our CSAT score, was at 80%. So this basically, you know, as we already stated before, our customers at the end of each call, they do take a 3-question survey, and 80% of our customers took the survey, and that's the score that we received. Our first call resolution was at 70%. I also would like to point out that, and I know we pointed this out each month, but we have exceeded our goal for the customer satisfaction goal for 20 straight months. So even though our customers still have to wait over 20 minutes to speak to a live agent, they are still satisfied with the services that are being provided. So I would like to, you know, congratulate, you know, the staff on doing a superb job of answering the calls to the best of their ability. Also, as far as our Easy Pay calls, we received over 6,735 Easy Pay calls. And out of the calls that we received regarding Easy Pay, 3,100 were enrolled into our Easy Pay installment agreement.
Okay, I have, are there any questions on this slide? Please go back to the previous slide. I have a question. The customer satisfaction goal exceeded 20 straight months. I think that's really exceptional. I'm really surprised that we're getting that goal still being met in view of the fact that we have so many customers who are not being whose situation is not being resolved on that first call. But I also want to commend you on the number of Easy Pay customers who were enrolled. Is there a reason, though, the difference between the 6,700 and the 3,100? Why there's so many that were not enrolled? Almost 3,000 that were not enrolled.
Madam Chair, you also have to, I just want to put it into context.
Okay.
There was 6,735 calls that came in about Easy Pay. It could be those 6,735 individuals could have been calling 2 or 3 times during the month to ask for a balance. They could be asking for what their current payment is. There's a multitude of things. So it doesn't correlate into they called and asked a question about getting onto Easy Pay, but only 3,100 enrolled. I think that's where you were making your distinction, but it's not the same.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. Are there any questions from anyone else on this slide before we go ahead? Okay, then please proceed.
Thank you. So this slide here, this gives us an overview of what occurred in the call center for the last 6 months. As you can see, again, I've already reported the same numbers on the previous slides, but again, during the month of April, it shows how it fluctuates from the previous months. Our average speed of answer, again, was 20 minutes and 54 seconds. Our service level was at 9%. Our average handle time was at 9 minutes, 29 seconds. Our average talk time, we did meet that KPI because we have that set at 7 minutes, but we did meet our average talk time for the month of April. Our average hold time was at 7 minutes and 2 seconds. Let's see. Our average staffing, currently we have 43 agents on the phone. We are still 11 CSS short. And as you can also see, it shows our customer satisfaction score. We already stated that 20 months consecutively, we've been meeting that KPI. So we are very excited about that. And that's all that I have for this particular slide.
Before you move from this slide, are there any questions by commissioners on this slide? I think you've done a really good job of pointing out where we want to be strengthened, but it also correlates to the number of people we can have doing the job. And if we don't have enough representatives, but I'm thinking about when we go to the HR committee and they're talking about the number of people who are being interviewed or have applied for the position. I don't really, maybe I'll ask that question when we get there, because obviously there's nothing we can do if we don't have enough people available to answer the customers' calls. But I am very pleased that we're getting the response we're getting from customers about their interaction with us and how pleased they are about it. So
thank you, Commissioner.
We want to thank employees for the good job they're doing and making sure that customers feel valued when they do talk to us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I will make sure that message gets passed on to the agents.
Thank you. Any questions, commissioners, on the slide? Okay, thank you very much. Our planning calendar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have quite an extensive amount of topics to talk about in the planning calendar. So we have Commissioner Q&A from the last formal session. There was quite a few questions from commissioners that I wanted to respond to. I have the updates on Easy Pay, Lifeline, Promise Pay, and then we also have a brief update that Tiffany Jones is going to present on the Detroit Advocates of the Blind, a project we've been working on since late last summer. So we're excited by the news, and I won't say any more about that. I'll let Tiffany handle it. So
much.
Without further ado, I will get started. These are responses to the commissioners. I gathered up the half a dozen or so questions that the commissioners had from the last Board of Water Commissioners meeting. So how many callers responded to the after call survey? I believe this came from Commissioner Forte. In April, 5% of the total calls that came in, we had responses to the after call survey. So that was 2,082 callers that called in, responded to the after call survey. How many Lifeline participants make on-time payments? So during the last billing cycle, which was in April, 48% of Lifeline customers did not make their payment in full. The positive to that is that 52% did make their payment in full. What is the number of customer service specialists that you currently have? We have budgeted 71 full-time equivalents. We currently are staffed at 60 individuals within customer service. And I just want to point out, and Commissioner or Madam Chair, you did mention, about HR, and I just want to point out this is not an HR concern as far as why we're 11 people short right now, and this is strictly due to a hiring freeze that the organization has due to budget constraints resulting from the Southwest water main break. So this is the, I'll say, sacrifice that the customer service team is making for the overall cause of the organization. So this is not an HR hiring concern. So I just want to point that out for Patricia's sake.
Well, before you go on, thank you. First of all, thank you for pointing that out. I think that's important because as we look at her numbers, or as we look at HR's numbers, we're wondering then why we don't have more staff. And we do have people waiting, I think, to be hired.
We do.
So I appreciate knowing why we don't have more people staffing customer service so that we can meet all of our objectives for and our timeframes that we have established. So
yeah,
thank you for that.
Absolutely. And I just want to also I should just point out, this does not only impact the budget constraints, don't only impact customer service. It impacts the entire organization. I'll let Patricia at the HR committee respond further, but there is many more other than the 11 just within customer service. So
thank you very much. Any questions, commissioners? Comments? Okay, then please proceed.
Yep. So another question from the last meeting was how many residents call about Easy Pay within a month, and how many enrollments are there? So while we, as previously explained, while we don't know, we don't capture how many people called strictly about getting enrolled within Easy Pay. We do know that there was a little over 6,700 individuals that called about Easy Pay, and those could be various calls about how much do I owe, what's my payment look like, I missed a payment, what do I do, how do I get enrolled, what are the parameters, rules, regulations, policies, that type of thing. But out of the 6,700 calls, almost half of those individuals that called did enroll within the program within the month of April. So we averaged 148 enrollments per day if we just look at business days during the week. So that's actually quite a high number. And as of today, just before this meeting, we actually have 28,811 enrollees that have enrolled within the program within Easy Pay since last July 31st was the day that we started enrollments last year. And our Director Gary Brown, gave us I'll say a very large stretch goal of reaching 30,000 people enrolling into Easy Pay within 12 months. So I'm pretty happy to say that if we go on our current trend, we'll be there by the end of May. So looking forward to that, meeting that goal ahead of schedule. And then what is the status of Promise Pay? So there was quite a bit of discussion in the last meeting about Promise Pay. So I just want to say the Promise Pay contract, we do have one. It was approved by the Board of Water Commissioners on August 21st of 2024. That's when it was brought before this board. Promise Pay has not serviced any DWSD accounts to date. We are still finalizing the technical aspects on how to work and transfer data and information back and forth between the two. And we anticipate to go live with Promise Pay in the month of June of 2025.
That
Any
clarifies,
questions?
yes, that certainly clarifies some questions that I think some commissioners had. Are there any questions on this, commissioners? Okay, I guess we understand what's happening with that now.
All right. The last question that came out about Promise Pay, what are the benefits? So just in brief, I presented this on several occasions, but just as a reminder, one of the biggest benefits of Promise Pay is that they offer flexibility that we cannot offer just based on the limitations of our technical system to date, which is customers will have the ability, if they're using Promise Pay to make their Easy Pay payment, they will have the ability to pick their due date. Right now, today, we only have one due date for both payments, the regular bill and the Easy Pay payment. And with Promise Pay, if they do so choose, they will be able to pick their due date so they can separate them. That makes it a little bit easier for some households to manage their budgets. Their communication tools that Promise Pay has is a little bit more robust than what we have. They have the ability to text message customers at numerous times during the month to remind them of when their payment is due, when their payment is coming up. If they missed a payment, they have some really good numbers coming out from a dozen or so other cities that when they remind customers within 24 hours of missing a payment, that 80% of those customers make their payment. So there's some really good data that comes out of the technology sources that they use at Promise Pay. They also have the ability to use alternative or non-traditional, which really has become traditional these days, of payment methods or payment options like Venmo, Apple Pay, and Cash Pay. And it will give some relief because right now, those 6,700 calls that you saw come into Easy Pay during the month of April would then go to Promise Pay. That gives relief to our customer service team to answer. That puts more priority on emergency calls than it does taking Easy Pay calls. So there is multiple advantages, which at the end of the day could and likely will reduce wait times of our customers. So that's just kind of some of the brief benefits of Promise Pay. Any questions from the commissioners or Madam Chair?
Have we heard any concerns about Cash App?
I don't know of any concerns about Cash App. I don't know of like more specific, maybe.
I don't know. Recently, I very recently, I heard of some problems, and I can't be more specific with people using Cash App. So I just wanted to make sure that it hasn't at this juncture, it hasn't impacted us. So that's what we were concerned about is if we were having problems with people who said they were trying to use it and we're having problems. But
we currently, Commissioner or Madam Chair, we currently at DWSD do not use Cash App. These are Cash App, Apple Pay, and Venmo are all three of those payment options would be available with Promise Pay, but currently DWSD does not use those. So we wouldn't be able to share any concerns that might be out there because our customers are not using it to pay DWSD.
All right. Any questions, commissioners, or comments?
Yes, Commissioner Kenlock speaking. No, I'm just saying the more that we would expand payment options for individuals to be able to make payments, the better. And just glad to hear that we're expanding that footprint. And this will be an excellent tool for our residents to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenlock. I appreciate that. That is the main goal, is just to provide
the
options for our residents.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, Madam Chair, do you mind if I move to the next slide?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So I separated out Lifeline and Easy Pay. There were some comments at the last meeting from the public that they wanted it to be more visible. So I've created separate slides for Lifeline and Easy Pay so that there is no confusion. So Lifeline currently has 8,136 households currently participating in Lifeline. DWSD has provided $3 million in gap assistance, the difference between the Lifeline payment and the actual bill, and benefits to those 8,136 households, as well as erased over $1 million in arrears from those 8,136 households on Lifeline. Any question?
How were we able to erase $1 million in arrears?
Those are funds that come from grants from the state of Michigan. There's actually 2 grants that are currently that were currently used for that, but have been exhausted. They were exhausted on. We were notified on March 31st by Wayne Metro that the 2 current grants that were available have been exhausted, including the Great Lakes Water Authority RAP program. So all of those funding sources have been exhausted, not expired. So that's where those funds, the $1 million in arrears and the $3 million in gap, that's where that's coming from, is directly from those grants. And unfortunately, there is no additional funds that are available to us at this time.
You said they're exhausted and committed through September of 2025. So
yes, ma'am.
There have been funds that will be applied, but there's no additional monies available.
There is not at this time.
Any questions or comments, commissioners? Well, I hope we're able to find some additional resources. So
we are, I will just say that we are actively working on it. I know that Scott McGriff, Deb Pospich, myself, and Director Brown are all working feverishly with state representatives and legislators to secure additional funding.
Well, good luck with that. Thank you.
We need all the luck we can get.
The legislature is going to be difficult right now, but thank you very much for that comment. But go ahead.
Yep. Easy Pay as of May 1st has 28,467 households. And the arrearage installment payments that we have received since July 31st of 2024 is $6.2 million. There are currently 17,620 Easy Pay households that are enrolled in Easy Pay that are current on their Easy Pay payment or have completed the plan. So that's a 61% success rate. If we compare that to the previous payment plan program, which was what we call 1030/50, that had an average current or completion in the plan of 10% within 90 days of sign up. So I think we've seen a much larger success rate with Easy Pay than we have with 1030/50. So we are quite pleased with those results, and I'm sure our customers are too.
Certainly commendable. Any questions, commissioners?
Just a quick question. Is the payment 1030/50 still available? I can't.
It is not.
It is not. Okay.
Yep. If customers are enrolled in it, they were let me rephrase it. If Commissioner Forte, if a customer was previously enrolled in 1030/50 and they did not request to be moved into Easy Pay, then they remain in the 1030/50 program. If they can, and they still can request to be moved into Easy Pay, but we're not offering it today to anybody new that's requesting a payment plan.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Forte. Any additional questions? Hearing none, let's proceed.
And Madam Chair, if you don't mind, I would like to turn over the presentation to Ms. Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Welcome, Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Tiffany Jones, Business Opportunity Director, and it is my privilege to provide you an update on a project that we've been working on. Just a brief history and recap. If you recall, last year in June, we had the National Federation of the Blind. They came to the board meeting and wanted to share their challenges of paying their water bill. And we, Director Brown and the exec board, committed to hearing those challenges and trying to resolve some of that. So a subcommittee was formed and we had cross-functional teams. I want to thank the public affairs team, customer service, IT, and of course, billing. We all came together and we have been meeting with the Federation. I do like to point out that as of April, they reorganized and now they are Detroit Advocates of the Blind. So they have reorganized into a different name. But we have been meeting regularly and we talked about some of the things that we can change to better serve that audience. So some of the accomplishments that we developed right out the gate, we made in-person appointments available at any time. So if any blind person or a disabled person comes into the customer service center down at MOB, they will be seen by a customer service rep. And we also extended the time on the phone. If you can pay your bill over the phone, but many of our customers were getting timed out because it was taking them longer to recognize the numbers. So we have extended that, and they are very pleased with just those two achievements that we did right away. Next page. Now I'm happy to report that we have large print bills and they are now available. So if you see, our normal bill is about 2 pages and we have enlarged our bills to around 4 to 6 pages, giving them plenty of large print that they can view their bill, and they are very pleased. So what are we going to do? How are we going to roll it out? Right now, we're doing a soft launch. So we are working with the Detroit Advocates of the Blind to have a pilot group that are currently receiving the bills, giving us feedback, and we hope to roll it out to the mass the start of the fiscal year, July 1. We are going to work with our Public Affairs Director, Brian Peckinpah, to actually pitch and recruit maybe some media, because we know that we're the first utility in Southeast Michigan. We may be the first utility in the state to offer such convenience to our customers. So we will roll it out July 1 to anyone that would like large print bills. How do you do that? Well, now you have to call customer service to be enrolled. At this time, that is the only way to get enrolled, is to call customer service. They have a prompt that they will put into the system, and you will then start receiving your large print bills. So we're excited about it. The Advocates of the Blind are ecstatic about it, and we are hoping that this will be one of many partnerships that we'll continue to have. And that is the end of my project. My report. I do want to shout out our billing department, Mihai, Carlos, and Aaron for their work and helping us get this project across the finish line. And that is the end of my report. I can take any questions.
Any comments or questions?
Just a comment. Excellent, excellent work. What a great service to, in particular, those of us who are blind, but those of us who need the large print.
Larger print.
Really great.
There are some of us who need the larger print. You're absolutely right. I'm concerned. Is there anything in Braille for these customers?
So we do have, when we implemented the project, we did implement for Braille. However, at this time, it will not be offered. It is very costly to produce a Braille bill. And so with our restraints on funding, we have reserved that option for a little later.
So if a customer calls in who, even with the enhanced print, they will be able to, customer service will be able to walk them through the things they need to know to be able to make their payments or get questions answered about their bill.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
That has always been a service that we've offered, Madam Chair. It's just the independence and the independence that these individuals are seeking is not to have to call customer service and ask those questions, is to be able to do it on their own in an independent way. And as far as Braille goes, our friends at the Detroit Advocates of the Blind, we're quite, I think, pleased, Tiffany, if I can take that having the large print bill was, I think, far more on a priority list than it was Braille. And if I remember right from Mr. Clay, who is the president of the Detroit Advocates of the Blind, I think his comment was there's way more, the number of individuals that actually read Braille is not as high as I think most of us that do see think. And so having the large print was definitely a priority for the group.
Yes.
Did I get that right, Tiffany?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Hi, I'd like to ask a question in this print in that, and I say it as a customer, not only as a commissioner. I do my payments automatically, comes out of my account. That's the way I set it up. That way I don't forget to pay the bill. But I just ask, is there any way looking forward, especially if people pay their bills automatically? They're like, I know that Comcast gets $5 credit because, they don't have a paper, but they also, are signed up to automatic payment. Is there something that like that, Mr. Phillips, we're looking forward in the future?
Are you trying to take revenue away from us, Commissioner Garcia?
I beg your pardon?
Are you trying to take revenue away from us?
Yeah.
Well, look,
I'm
at
only
this
asking
point in time, we
because
need every penny
I'm
we can
only
get,
asking
Commissioner.
because
So
people do pay automatically, which is really
I'm not
easier,
looking.
but
I'm not
okay.
looking into that, Commissioner.
No
I'm just being
problem. I
honest.
thought I
I'm not
asked.
looking into that. I'll let somebody else take that on, and they can take the credit for
Okay,
taking away revenue.
thank you for answering it.
The wording needs to be thought more clearly, Mr. Phillips, but anyway. Thank you very much, Commissioner, for asking the question and getting it in. Any additional questions or comments? Okay. Thank you very much. I think that my agenda is gone. Okay. So we have the planning calendar. There are no other matters, and our next meeting is June 4th. Chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Support.
The meeting stands adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Just want to make the comment that I think we were right on time.
Oh, wow. I won't say that the
All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Madam Secretary, Mr. Secretary, could we have a roll call, please, for the Human Resources Committee?
Person Davis. Chairperson Davis.
Present. Detroit, Michigan.
Commissioner Blackman.
Detroit.
Commissioner Garcia.
Present.
All right, we have a quorum today, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Riggs. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
So move.
Second.
This motion's been made and properly seconded. All in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and that motion is carried. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes of April 2nd?
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Support.
This motion's been made and properly supported. All in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, that motion is carried as well. That now brings us to public participation. Mr. Peckinpah, do we have any hands up?
Yes, we do, Mr. Chair. We do have D'Amico Williams with his hand raised.
All right, we'll call on Mr. Williams. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Commissioner Davis. Good afternoon on this sunny day. How are you today?
Greetings, greetings.
Thank you for having me here. I just want to, first let me identify myself. My name is D'Amico Williams. I'm the Chief Executive Director of Hydrate Detroit, and I want to respond to some of the things that I've heard in regards to the last subcommittee meeting and maybe a suggestion for this subcommittee meeting. So I'll try to stay on point if I can. In regards to the customer service, I just want to applaud Mr. Matthew Phillips, Ms. Kim Crowell, and their team for a very phenomenal job. I just want to give it a hand clap. I'll give a hand clap for that for real. Because I could never imagine, I think this is what I was here for, is that to ensure that the customer service was fixed and that it had updated to modern technology to where we should be able to call. I remember we had to wait on the phone for hours, or we'll never get a call back, or we would never hear from anybody. Now those days are over, and I just want to thank Mr. Matthew Phillips and his team, as well as the director and the body of this board, for investing and making sure the customer service, that's the number one jewel of this department. That's how you're rated. That's how you're remembered. And if you build the trust, you build the dignity and the strength of it to make sure that anybody has an emergency, that this customer service department will be able to respond. Um, I'm glad to hear about the Easy Pay numbers. I think it needs to be determined how many people completed the program versus those that are current and that are paying. Also, how many people finished the program with a zero balance, that need to be determined. There also needs to be notes taken on the phone calls, what the calls were about. Call may have been about payment. Okay, there should be notes to determine and establish what these calls are about, and then also have those calls enrolled in Easy Pay, or were they just simple informational calls? You know, people like to call for information, or they might be calling about something else. That needs to be taken in like a tally. The Promise Pay contract, I am full support of this. It has to make sure that those convenience fees are low or they are waived. The convenience fees that are tacked along with these applications is a concern, and I hope that that problem can be mitigated to save us time and also to save us any hassle paying extra. And the customer service agents, there needs to be commercials. There need to be some type of outreach. And I'm pretty sure there is, but it has to be aggressive to get customer service agents. No more third parties or outside agents. Thank you so much for taking my comment. Have a great day.
All right, thank you, Mr. Williams. Are there any other hands up?
Yes, excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Cecil,
sir.
excuse me, Narelle Hemphill actually is the next person.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ms. Hemphill, you are welcome.
Good afternoon. Attorney Narelle Hemphill, Legal and Policy Manager at We the People of Detroit. I just had a couple of concerns about human resources. We know that the number one, all of these things are interconnected. You can't have customer service without human resources. And hearing the customer service numbers and the wait time and with no solutions is quite concerning, especially since there were millions of dollars invested in the water main break in Southwest Detroit. And from our understanding of the agreement with the Great Lakes Water Authority, the infrastructure is supposed to be, the upkeep and maintenance of the infrastructure is supposed to be the responsibility of GLEWA. And we've asked in meetings and haven't really gotten any clarity on why it was volunteered that Detroit would pay half of those costs and where those funds will come from. Now we're seeing the impacts of that, where once again Detroiters are suffering from issues that were not created by us, where we are now on a hiring freeze and unable to correct or even mitigate an issue that we have, which we're seeing is having our residents and our customers of DWSD wait for, more than 20 minutes to get their customer service issues resolved. So with that, I feel like Easy Pay is, while it is a solution of sorts, it's kind of one of those false equivalents. Why aren't we doing that in-house instead of outsourcing it? Do we not have capacity to update our own system to be able to do all of the things that Easy Pay would be able to do? Promise Pay being the company that would be administering Easy Pay. It sounds like we need to refocus inward and tool up our own system. We know that jobs contracts and training is one of the ways that people are able to afford their water bill. Again, so hiring more people who can service our customers in-house would be the best for not only DWSD, not only public and public policy, but also for the residents of Detroit and those customers of DWSD. So I will reduce my comments to writing, as we tend to do, to have them addressed at a later date. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
All right, you're welcome, Ms. Hemphill. Another hand up for public comment?
Mr. Chair, we have no hands raised at this time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Peckinpah. That moves us to communications. There are none, nor do we have any unfinished business. And so we're now on new business, human resources metrics. Human Resources Director, Ms. Thornhill.
Afternoon, Commissioners.
Greetings.
I will share my screen. And we will now go through the human resources metrics. Currently, we have 655 employees. This is a net change of -5 or 5 less than last month, whereas we've since hired 1 employee, but we've had 6 employees leave, 1 through a resignation, 3 through retirement, and 2 through terminations. For our employees that retired, we will acknowledge them on the retirement slide. And next, we have our standard slide that represents Detroit residents and hiring. And our second standard slide, the average annual head count year over year. Are there any questions? Okay. Next, we'll take a look at our retirement eligible. As you can see, 17% of DWSD's headcount is retirement eligible. This percentage continues to decrease. At one point, we were as high as 22%. But as you can see, we're hiring more and more employees into our entry-level positions, and they are not retirement eligible. Also, our entire population is increasing. So proportionately, currently, our retirement eligible is at 17%, less than 20%. And as I've mentioned earlier, we had 3 of our employees retire. Sheila Howard, who was one of our inspectors, she had 25 years of service. We'd like to wish her well. In addition, we had Ronald Cook. He was one of our assistant managers in operations with 37 years and 11 months of service. We also like to wish Mr. Cook well. Yes. And lastly, Parvez Joffrey, with 33 years of service. Parvez was an engineer and then came back to work with us. 33 years and 11 months of service, and we like to wish him very well. We wish all 3 of those former employees very well in their retirement. Any questions? Currently, we have 10 open requisitions. This equates to 17 open positions. That's 2 less than we had last month. And this is the only screen. Are there any questions, commissioners? Our recruitment efforts since our last meeting, we had 4 where DWSD HR participated in an employer meet and greet at the University of Detroit Mercy, where we met with various students and discussed their interests and also positions that DWSD had to offer. As well as 2 separate dates, we participated in the Careers and Public Service discussion panel. One at the Jefferson Douglas Center, K-8 Center, and one at the Randolph CTE. And there were approximately anywhere from 50 to 25 people participating in those sessions where we discussed careers here at DWSD. We also participated in the Payne Pulliam Center National Apprentice Day event. and that's always a very fulfilling event. I have attended before in the past. Are there any questions?
Can you hear me?
Commissioner Blackman, were you looking to make a comment?
Yes, I was going to ask, make a comment. Because we're not able to do any hiring now, we're in a hiring freeze. How are you reconciling the fact that we're still doing the career days, or are we informing them that we are not hiring at the moment, but we are still interviewing and want to get them see who's eligible for employment? How do we handle that?
That's a great question, Commissioner. We are able to hire for people who may have retired or resigned. So technically, we are still hiring and filling those positions. We're just not obtaining new or increasing our headcount, but we are backfilling.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And next, we'd just like to highlight some of our training courses that are currently being offered at DWSD and also commend our employees who help train those courses. This allows us to defray costs. And it's very, very important that we try our best to save as much as we can. And we do so by using internal training resources. So internally, our confined space and trench insuring course can be taught by Kendrick Jackson. He reports to HR here. He's one of our training HR generalists, as well as someone have a question? As well as our environmental health and safety manager, Natasha Hooten, who can also conduct those two training courses. We've cut costs with our CDL training, commercial driver's license training, by partnering with WC3D. We cut those costs by 1/3, so that was quite significant. We've also provided training, as we've reported before here during one of the meetings, our DWSD training portal that's accessible through our intranet site, where there are over 100 or close to 100 professional development courses. This past calendar year, we've also implemented the DWSD Safety Training Portal that's also accessible through the DWSD website. We offer Miss Dick training in-house. We do have a contractor come internally into DWSD, and this allows certification in that training. And as we've proudly bragged about before, we offer water operations certification training here at DWSD. And that's taught by our own Phil Curry, previously taught by Sam Smalley. And Phil is an assistant manager in operations. Those employees here that need math preparation training receive that here, free in-house by Latonia Jones. She's a professional administrative analyst in operations. And we also allow GLEWA, Great Lakes Water Authority, and their partners to attend that training. So just wanted to show you a few things that we're currently doing in-house and how we work very hard to defray costs when we can. Are there any questions?
Chair,
Commissioner Blackman.
question, but I really want to commend Human Resources for the outstanding job they're doing in so many areas and partnering with so many different entities to make sure that when we are hiring, that we have people waiting to start, and also maintaining the relationship that lets people know that we are a resource for future hiring. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Patricia. We do have to open up the legal committee.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. The Human Resources Committee will adjourn to the call of the chair.
Yes. The Detroit Board of Water Commissioners Legal and Government Committee will now come to order. Would you please call the roll?
Chairperson Ken Lott,
Present.
Commissioner Einhauser,
I am present.
Commissioner Blackman.
Right.
All right, sir, we have a quorum today.
Yes, at this time, we will now recess to the call of the chair.
All right, thank you. We'll now resume the Human Resources Committee meeting.
Okay, I'll share my screen again. Our safety segment that we're going to showcase this month is gas strikes. So you may ask, what is a gas strike? A gas strike is when one of our crews or one of our contractors we're utilizing accidentally hits a gas line. And there are several safety precautions that are in place when this does happen. But we track those gas strikes here at DWSD, and the safety team responds and writes an incident report. And we also take a look at how to mitigate those gas strikes moving forward. So you'll see here on this particular chart the number of gas strikes we've had so far this year by month.
Here.
Commissioner Blackman.
So in January 10, then we went down to 4 in February, back up to 11 in March, down to 4 in April. What is the fluctuation? Do you know?
Not offhand, but I can find out. Sometimes it's really based on the cause, Commissioner Blackman. And let's take a look at this next slide, and I can talk a little bit more about how we try to dig down into that. Because we do take a look at the data. So based on the question, that was a great question. We take a look at who's responsible. And that's also included in our report. And you'll see on a chart here, that, DWSD, we have some responsibility with only 5 out of the 29 gas strikes. Still, we really want 0 gas strikes, right? That's the goal. But you'll see here for the contractors who are responsible or the areas, in some cases, like here with DTE, maybe there's an issue with their marking, or maybe there's some other things that they have to do. And we meet with them monthly. Natasha Hooten, our environmental health and safety manager, meets with DTE monthly to discuss these types of things. So I can certainly dig down and get more information, Commissioner Blackman, because it's there. Okay, I can get that for you.
Very much.
I'm sorry, yes.
Mr. Chair, I think it appears that the majority problems are with outside contractors. We have some concerns about our numbers as well. But if we could find out what they're doing to try to mitigate this from happening, it would be helpful, I think.
Yes, and we do that, Commissioner Blackman. Actually, we have to, because we want to maintain the health and safety of our employees. So we continue to follow up on those types of things. So again, they meet monthly, DTE and the environmental health and safety manager meets monthly to discuss specifically the areas where they've had gas strikes, and our safety team does interface with the contractors that contract with us regarding any gas strikes and what we can do to mitigate those circumstances. So thank you.
It would be feedback from them to know what they're doing to make sure that those numbers are reduced. So thank you.
Absolutely. And we will report on that because there is a process, Commissioner. So I will bring that back next time. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Blackman, were you?
Yes, that's it.
Were you done?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Next, we're going to quickly cover just some of the feedback we've received during our exit interview, stay interview, collection process of concerns from current and employees that have left DWSD. So just very quickly, we conduct check-ins at 30 days, 6 months, and 1 year for all new employees. And you can see on the far right of this chart that we've had about a 48% rate of participation. Yes, there's room for improvement, but we've still received some good data that we've been working with management to resolve some issues on. So we appreciate the feedback nonetheless. So for example, for 30 days, we surveyed 124 employees. We've received 64 responses from 64 employees, or 60, excuse me. In 6 months, we surveyed 159 employees. We've received 79 responses. And in 1 year, we surveyed 91 employees and received 44 responses. So here's some of the feedback we received. So you could take a look at this particular screen. You'll see for 30 days, 6 months, and 1 year. In bold, you'll see the questions that we've asked, or the ones that we're going to report out on today. Okay. Can you identify some challenges you've had in your first 30 days? We're asking them, can you communicate your needs to your supervisor or manager? Can you identify some challenges you've had in your first 6 months? And on a scale of 1 to 5, can you communicate your job needs to your supervisor or managers? So these are the things we're purposefully pulling out for this presentation. However, we do ask all of the questions you see on the screen. And here's some of the feedback, and we've also put it on a nice chart for you. So here you see the word universal. That means across DWSD. That means that can pertain to any area within DWSD. Okay. So here's some challenges that people may have, and we take all of these things very seriously. Okay. And next, we have a word chart for you pertaining to that last slide. So you can see in human resources, there are some things that we need to work with the city on regarding enrolling in benefits, and we have been doing that. And then also the attendance program. We've made some improvements in our new employee orientation regarding that so that everyone can understand. There are some things across DWSD to the left of the word chart where you see universal that we'll work with various members of management on to improve the experience for new employees. Also on the right-hand side, we're working with leadership and operations regarding some of the concerns you see here. Again, here's this one. Again, it's for both HR and operations, but HR will take the lead on that one in terms of occurrences, and that relates to the attendance program. Are there any questions on this particular word chart regarding challenges in the first 30 days of employment?
Very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, you'll see some of the challenges that were identified within the first 6 months of employment. And again, we'll be following up with we already have followed up with the various departments. And some things are just necessary, like so many passwords. I mean, we have to protect our infrastructure. So there are just certain things that we need to do. Are there any questions here? Okay. One of the questions, or so few more of the responses, excuse me. We're not to that one yet. Again, and we're following up with management. One of the questions that we ask the employee, are you able to communicate your job needs to your supervisor or manager? And you'll see that 38 out of the 63 people who were asked replied strongly agree. So that's over half. And where there are concerns, we follow up with those areas. Last question. Are you able to communicate your job needs to your supervisor or manager? Again, over half strongly agreed with that, and 44 were asked or responded. And that concludes the Human Resources Report. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Thornhill. All right. We've seen our planning calendar. There are no other matters. Our next meeting is June 4th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you. We are now adjourned.
One second.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm back. Okay. I'm having technical difficulties. Okay, good afternoon. The Legal and Government Affairs Committee will now reconvene. And at this time, we will go to the next item on the agenda. Approval of the agenda. A motion is in order.
Mr. Chair,
It's been moved. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, this item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the previous meeting minutes from April 2nd, 2025. A motion is in order.
I move the adoption of the minutes as presented.
Is there support? It's been moved and supported to approve the previous meeting minutes of April the 2nd. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? This item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is public participation. At this time, I want to ask whether or not there's anyone that is, I'd like to open up the mics and ask anyone who is present who would like to address this committee to raise your hand and to indicate your concerns inside of the chat. And I'd like to ask staff, has anyone asked to be recognized?
Mr. Chair, we do have D'Amico Williams with his hand raised.
Would you please read the public participation instructions?
Mr. Chair, I ask you to consider that since these aren't new attendees to the events, that they've heard the public instructions from the other committee.
Okay, so noted. You can recognize Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. D'Amico Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Kenlock, how are you today?
Doing fine, thank you.
Very good. Shout out to you and Commissioner Eisenhower for this committee. And also I want to send love to Lane Coleman as well. I'm sorry I got on a little late. I'm very happy these meetings are running on time and running efficiently. We miss you all. We would hope that you all would consider reconvening in the communities and being in different neighborhoods and different districts. People would love to have you all back at your formal meetings. I just want to respond to just the overall point where we are. You know, when we ask for revenue, you know, we got people that are paying their bills. They're doing everything they can. It's just the fact of all of this work that's going on. You know, when we have all of these infrastructure problems, it does cost money. When we're supposed to work regionally with all of our leaders across this region from Macomb, Wayne, Oakland, Southeastern Michigan, and the state of Michigan as a whole, it gets difficult. We can't get funding. We can't get grants. I mean, we can't even get federal grant funding. You know, we used to have a good relationship to get federal money. Now it's a little complicated. You know, I believe that we all can make do, but we have to maybe dig in and figure out, you know, what cost are we saving on? I never hear about savings and what we can do to maximize those savings, and especially savings for the customer, savings for the patron of this department. You know, I hear water costs keep going up because of less usage. Well, how is that so? You know, and thank you for the Revenue Protection Department's presentation. I think more people need to know what they do. But you know, the businesses that that are not paying, they need to be made to pay. And I'm talking about commercial businesses like Comerica Park, you know, Eastern Market, DTE, the empty office buildings. Um, they should not get any deferments, especially Charles Brooks, the man that owns the castle. I'm sorry, I don't represent people in castles and mansions. And that man has sold out the city and has taken advantage of the city when it was down and out during the bankruptcy. So, you know, different people that should be made to pay. Dennis Kelfinos. I'm happy to hear there was a deal settlement. I want to hear more in the coming presentation or maybe later of how many big named commercial operators have you been able to get payments from that owe the most money? Because it's very important, because maybe it could cover some of the residents and such. That's just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr.
Chair,
Peckinpah, is there?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, we do have Narelle Hemphill.
Thank you.
Good afternoon again. Attorney Narelle Hemphill with the People of Detroit. I did just have a quick question. I heard just over time and often many commissioners refer to the chat function in this meeting. Is there a particular reason why the chat is not enabled, and also why we cannot see a list of people who's on the call, a number or names or anything? It kind of feels like there's almost this wall between in this case, the committee and then the community, where we're not even able to engage with each other. Sometimes community can bring forth our own solutions, and actually we are the best solutionaries to our issue. And if we cannot communicate during these meetings, it does create an information bottleneck and information gap. So, I do want to, yes?
Oh, no, continue. I'm sorry.
No, please.
Oh, no. I was gonna just circle back with staff as it relates to any rationales, but there's no organized effort to on our part. It's not any nefarious efforts. So because I wasn't aware, that's why I made reference to the chat. So not sure what the reasons for, but I'm sure it wasn't anything negative or anything like that. So I want to just mention that.
I appreciate that, Chair. But I did just want to bring that to your attention so you can see what we see on this end and how what has been communicated by some residents does. But we don't have a chat function or the ability to do anything but click the chat if there are links in there. But we can't see anything other than what you show us on the screen.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. Mr. Peckinpah?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We do use the webinar version of Zoom, so it does close the chat function. So that's why they do see the link, but they're not able to communicate with us through the chat function. So
okay,
we can provide a response in writing through the committee.
Would you please? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else?
There is Ms. Gwendolyn Howard.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I was listening and I couldn't get on earlier during customer service. I couldn't get to the click before you closed it. But at our last Board of Water Commissions, when we started mentioning, and it's not the right, we may not be in the right spot right now. I just couldn't open it up, but I do want food for thought. When we mentioned promise pay last month at the meeting, it was like it didn't exist and we snatched it out the clouds. Now today you put up on here that it's been in place since August of 2024. So I'm just curious to know, when even Commissioner Kinlock was asking, why are we saying this? Like we took it out the clouds or something. So I didn't get it in that spot, but I did want to give it food for thought again, and we'll deal with it at a later time or either in writing. So thank you for taking my call.
Okay, Brian, is there anyone else?
Mr. Chair, there are no other hands raised.
Okay. At this time, public participation, public comment is now closed. Can we go next item on the agenda is communications. A motion is in order to receive and file the litigation report. there support? Okay, I'll support that. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye to receive and file the litigation report. Aye. Those opposed, this item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is the monthly FOIA report. Motion is in order to receive and file the FOIA report.
I would so move, Mr. Chairman.
Is there support?
Support.
I will support that. Okay, it's been supported by Commissioner Blackman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, this item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is unfinished. Okay, next item on the agenda is unfinished business. There is none. Next item is new business. And none of the new business, we have the April update from April 26th community outreach meeting with Mackinac administrators related to the 54-inch water main break in Southwest Detroit.
Mr. Commissioner, this is Scott McGriff, General Counsel. I just wanted to briefly update the committee and the board regarding the outreach meeting that we had, that we put in place for April 26th. I had mentioned it at the last board meeting, and so since the event took place, I wanted to give you an update as to the results. We had Mackinac administrators come out to Patton Community Center on Saturday, April 26th. They brought 3 teams of adjusters to the community center. They brought a translator with them, and our community partners provided an additional 6 translators. So every team had its own translator, plus we had a couple of spares that were able to walk among the residents that came to help prepare them for what they would be asked once they got to the table containing the adjusters. We had 64 residents that signed up before 2 p.m. This event ran from 9 until, it ended up going until 5. It was scheduled until 4. We had 64 residents signed in by 2 p.m. At that time, I had to cut it off because we needed to be able to get through everybody that had signed in. After 2 p.m., we had an additional 28 residents that showed up that signed in and that we prioritized for Mackinac to contact and reach out on the following Monday. So the next business day, they prioritized those individuals that came and that had signed in. So we had quite a good turnout for that event. We ended up making, I think, approximately 22 settlements out of the 64 people that showed up. So that was good. More importantly, however, was the ability for the residents to show up, talk face to face with the adjusters, have a translator there to be able to communicate in a way that was efficient and that they can understand in terms of what their claim was, what documents would be required, what their particular next steps had to be. And so that was very, very helpful. We had a lot of very positive feedback from that event. And because of that, because of the participation, we're going to hold another event tentatively scheduled for May 17th. We don't have all the pieces in place yet for that, but that's our tentative date to have another event in either at Patton or the local community center.
Great.
Having said that, regarding the event itself, I also wanted to give you a quick update on the overall metrics related to the claims process. Essentially, we've had about 471 claims, 310 of which were property claims, 157 of which were auto claims. We have currently settled 103 claims. 77 checks have been requested that will pay out in the next week. 28 checks were already paid out last week. So we're getting to the end of that. We've got about 100, let me see here. 151 claims right now in which residents are waiting to provide, we're waiting for residents to provide their documents, provide the follow-up information that has been requested by the adjuster. So things are moving along very nicely and very quickly. We Our aim is to try to have these claims all resolved, if possible, by the holiday weekend. I understand that's a stretch, but that's our goal. We'll get very close to that. We may not get to our goal, but we'll get very close. That is the update. I'll take.
Well, it's a great update. And as you were speaking, I'm here with a community leader, longtime community leader in Southwest Detroit, and she overheard you giving your report, and she said that the community is overwhelmingly pleased with the response from the department, and you all to be able to move as quickly as you all did. She noted how that was just remarkable, and people really appreciate that. And I thank you for your report. And I'd like to ask any other members, commissioners, if you have any questions of the report that was just given.
No.
Okay, and if not, I'm going to go back and recognize Commissioner Blackman. It sounded like she had a question or a comment on one of the previous reports. So I'm going to take the privilege of the chair and recognize Member Blackman, because I believe you had a question or you were trying to get recognized, and I didn't see that. I couldn't really hear you.
Hear me now.
Oh, I hear you.
There were some things that were mentioned in the report that I wondered if we could have in writing. I know that we're there. If it's a legal affair totally, then we want to be careful about what we put in writing. But there were some things that were just of general interest, I think, to us as a committee and to the public, that would not be infringing on any privacy that we have concerns about. So if we could get a written report from Legal and Government Affairs, I think that would be helpful for us.
Through the chair to Commissioner Blackman, are you asking regarding the settlements that I just gave the update on? Is that you would like a part of that to be in writing?
If it can, just in general, Mr. McGriff, in general, you would talk about some other things as well. But if there are things that would not compromise us in any way, then I think the committee would be. I know I would be pleased to get those comments if we can in writing.
I'm happy to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Any additional questions? Okay, at this time, we'll now go to the next item on the agenda is the planning calendar. And at some point, me and Attorney McGriff will together. But I will be definitely reaching out to him. And then we will proceed to the next item is item 10, other matters. I know of none. And our next meeting is June 4th, 2025. I now will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and supported to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The meeting stands adjourned at 3:31. Thank you.
Thank you.